Anyway, I was going to Greece and I stopped in Belgrade because I had a friend there who I met at McGill who was studying engineering, but somehow or other in a nuclear facility, and he invited me to stay at the Nuclear Institute in Belgrade, and because I published my first book then, and he wanted me to meet the director, and everything was wonderful at that time, you see, except when the director came and knocked at the door. I was in the bath, so I didn't answer. Consequently, I was non grata and I had to leave the next day. I moved in with a family that was related to my friend. And I walked around Belgrade for days and met all kinds of people, young people, people my age, who were not interested in politics. One of them, what they were interested in was music. And in fact, when I came back to Canada, I sent them all these LPs, The Grateful Dead, The Country Joe and the Fish, which you might remember from Belgrade, you know? But I remember one of these guys saying to me, a fellow, I don't remember his name now, he said, politics is for old men. And Marshall Tito was still in charge at that time. But I mean, people weren't interested in politics. They only could see ahead a couple of years what would happen in that country. But politics was for old men. All they were interested in was the Beatles and the Stones. And the hit song at that time was Ruby Tuesday. And all they were doing was going around the streets of Belgrade, all together, guys and girls, you know, singing Ruby Tuesday at the top of our lungs. What is today? Tuesday. So this is Ruby Fool's Day. That's what it was like then. And it lasted that way for years. In 2001, summer of 2001, I went to Greece, to the little island of Tilos, to work on a new book of poetry. Because at that time, you know, I voted NDP, and sometimes Liberal, when I was really feeling risky. But it was knee-jerk leftism. But it was leftism nevertheless. And the other thing that interested me most, of course, was poetry and poetics. And the rest of the world seemed to exist as a kind of host for the poetic guest. I respected the world because it allowed me to be there, if you see what I mean. We poets, in our youth, begin in madness, but in the end comes turpitude and sadness. I'm just making that up. It's sort of like what happens. But I was very involved in poetry, and you know, that seemed to me to be the crown, the very pinnacle of the Lord's creation. Poets were superior beings. They suffered more than others. They saw more than others. That's what I kind of believed at the time, which of course is utterly false. But I was happy in a kind of unhappy sort of way, because poets have to be unhappy in order to write. So, you know, I made myself unhappy in order to be happy, which is the paradox that justifies the poetic